Hey everyone, Howie Fisher from Fisher's Flies. Thanks for checking in. Today I'm going to be tying a variation of a fly called the Shop Vac Nymph. I'm going to be tying this in a Midge variation. So I'm going to be tying it in a size 20 and with a 1.5 millimeter tungsten bead. And for the thread on this, I'm going to be using Semperfli Nano Silk and 50 denier in black. You can obviously use brown or tan or whatever else you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and get started with my thread right behind the hook, or behind the eye. Snip them off with my renowned scissors. Check them out if you haven't yet. For the ribbing on this, I'm using Sabai flat wire and ultrafine copper. Really cool material if you've never checked it out as well. I'm just going to go ahead and get this started right on the hook behind the eye. And I got the idea for this fly really from a fly fish food video that they just recently posted, and thought I should tie it up in some smaller midge sizes because I'm a fan of natural materials. I'm a fan of synthetics as well, but I also really love naturals, which is why I'm using this fly. So for the body, pheasant tail is the main material. Just going to go ahead and snip the tips off so they're not as brittle. You can tie them in with the tips on, but they're more prone to break off that way when you wrap your material forward. So again, I'm going to get started right behind the bead and wrap them all the way back to the very end of my thread. I'm going to give it a little whip finish to help with the rotation or rotary. Just going to go ahead and wrap these forward. And this is super important with more natural materials like pheasant tail. You want to wrap counterclockwise, or the opposite direction of the way you're going to wrap your wire. I've found it easiest if you wrap the pheasant tail or natural material towards yourself, because it's easier to capture a soft material like pheasant with the thread rather than wire, especially with this nano silk, which is much more slippery than a natural material like pheasant tail. So then I'm going to wrap my wire away from me, open spiral wraps, make sure making this fly nice and durable. I'm going to go ahead and capture that with a couple thread wraps. This wire is easy enough to just pull right off, so that's what I'm going to do here. For the thorax, I'm using peacock. I'm just going to use a single strand. Again, clip off the tip so that it's not as brittle. And I'm going to tie it in with a couple wraps, and then I'm going to do a couple wraps forward, about 3, 4, 5, depending on what size you're tying this fly in. Once I've got it where I want it, I'm going to capture that. Make sure it's secure. For the wing on this, I'm going to be using CDC, and the way that I'm tying it in is for a reason. So I'm using CDC oiler puffs. You can get these from Hairline, Nature Spirit, most producers of CDC. So I'm actually tying it in with the stem or the butt facing forward. And the reason for this is because when midges hatch or rise to the surface, they capture an air bubble. And so that front little, for lack of better words, bubble is going to be used to imitate a midge trying to emerge. And then this back section, I didn't cut that flush because I want that to be the wing bud starting to come out. So go ahead and tie them up, fish them. Let me know what you think. Thanks.